before getting into this, I just want to say that this design is based on my last video. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out first. If you want to download the files, you can find a link in the description below. And just a heads up, if you did download the previous files, this is the same gear, so you don't have to print this again. Overall, this is pretty similar to my rack and pinion design from my last video. Essentially what I did was I took the base, split it across the middle, and then mirrored it. Now what that lets us do is we can connect two racks and connect them to the same servo. Now the assembly process is pretty similar. You just put everything in place and then put the servo horn in last. So one thing I will say is that when you assemble this, make sure you don't push this too far to the left, or you could damage your servo, because when it opens, it doesn't, check how far the gate is. So make sure there's not too much of a gap there. Now the way that I designed this, everything should line up perfectly. I only left a 0.2 millimeter gap between the doors. And going back to what I was talking about earlier, the rack on the left goes down, and then if you notice, the gear is spinning counterclockwise, so the rack on the right actually goes the other way. So we're just using the energy from the same servo to open both doors at the same time. Now you could use two different servos and just use the front part right here to make it more clean. That way when it opens, you don't have this rack over here. So if you're looking for something clean, then I would suggest just using the left side over here with two servos instead of one. But for my purpose, for my projects, I want to minimize the servos used. So I'm just going with one single servo to serve my purpose. So here I have this stand that I printed. If you are going to be using this in one of your projects, I would recommend modeling in some guide rails like this. It just makes it more stable, and it just makes it look better when you use it. I know I'm focusing a lot on the 3D printed parts and the mechanism rather than the ESP32 or Arduino. That's because if you go on YouTube, you can find hundreds of videos on how to connect a simple switch, whereas I couldn't really find anything like this. And that's the whole reason I created this channel. I want to upload videos on things that aren't that common. Now I do have more complex projects coming up in the future, and if you are interested, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.